For us, the wretched of the earth, what magic potion is there to heal us from the traumas of our living past?
For me, the psychology that I'm coming back to want to practice, to write about, and writing is a big part of it, that you want to spread, is the psychology that intervenes at that level. That we have multiple traumas, chronic multiple traumas. This book here, this is Fanon, right? This is Fanon. So Fanon has influenced the book that I wrote, this book. The world looks like this. I do mention him, but in many other ways. But I was mentioning a book like this, Community Psychology. One of the editors here is my colleague. But I also have a chapter in this on precisely what I'm talking about, this new psychology that we're trying to build. We're calling it, you might see this, we're calling it African-centered community psychology. So we have taken the community, we've infused it with African-centeredness. That's what we do.
The native has always known that he need expect nothing from the other side. The settler's work is to make even dreams of liberty impossible for the native. The native's work is to imagine all possible methods for destroying the settler.
Can Western psychology find ways and means to heal black trauma that is caused by colonial experiences? Who among us will find ways and means of healing that will collectively heal our people? Is it the academic? Is it the community? Is it the individual?
Let me go back right there. Fanon was one of the earliest people where you find resources. Why? Fanon at some point was a psychiatrist, right? And realized this is not working. This is, unless you fix the colonial condition, you will not be able to help the Algerians and then the Tunisians and the Ghanaians and all in the colonized situation. So basically he saw this in the 40s and the 50s, and Fanon saw that, oh wow, okay. Basically I have to, all the pathologies within societies, specifically within black life.
Will it ever then be possible for us to find and devise ways that will heal our collective trauma without us looking back to Western psychology?
People used to say there's no worth or value when it comes to black and colored people. So we inherit that thought. Look, Paul, if you as a teacher tell a child, you will never amount to anything, you will never succeed in life, you start believing that.
But at the age of 3 years, I came here to my grandmother. I didn't know this woman. I knew my paternal grandparents as a princess. But when I came here, I became a child where I have to start all over again. And now I was traumatized with this grandmother that I don't know. Living here in this house, the trauma, the mere fact that as a child, when other children are happy, I don't have happiness because I had to adjust. There were times when there was no food. There were times when there were strange people coming in. There were times when I didn't feel secure, and I kept on asking myself, why did I leave my home?
Contemporary Western psychology continues to evolve with advances in neuroscience, cognitive science, and interdisciplinary research. There's also growing recognition in the importance of cultural competence and ethical considerations in psychological practice. And I think that also older generations, in terms of traditions, some sort of actions and things like that, even though it's tradition, they don't work in the modern society because the times have changed. And therefore, when they bring up their children, they must be aware of this and say, this is how we used to do it, but we know that we're aware that things have changed and we accept that instead of ostracizing the modern generation, because that would also often lead to a breakdown of communication between parents and children, and then it goes back to violence, gender-based violence, abuse, and all of that kind of stuff. Psychology, all of that. I mean, nowadays they encourage talking about mental illnesses and stuff like that in every home. That should be addressed.
From a nice home where they have a father and a mother, they became young women, they went to school, and they became qualified people. But because of color, racism, and because of the environment at that time, they are being forced removed. We as children, we migrate, we learn, we go to school. So they have gone to school, and I came here as a young person, and I was traumatized with the fact that I'm with this old woman. But this old woman is completely different from my paternal grandmother, because she's monitored 24/7 by the police, the special branch, and I'm wondering, has she killed a person? Is she also gonna kill me?
When people go back to the land, they're not only going back because they want to be restituted for something that was stolen from them, but also because they have a connection, a social, psychological connection with the land, right? If you're giving people houses, you're grounding them in a place. You're giving them a certain permanency, and that is related to how then they feel. And of course, if you give them good housing, you don't give them a two-room house where you give them good housing. You give them a street, you plant trees. You are giving them a certain sense of being, this is my place. Nobody's gonna chase me out of this.
But how can Western psychology analyze the lives of black folk? Can Western psychology be part of healing a collective trauma that was caused by colonialism?
Cecil Rhodes, the great empire builder, was born 100 years ago. He lies buried in the Matopo Hills in the Rhodesias, which are named after him. This was the country which he brought under the British Crown and formed into a British colony.
The soul in Greek is psyche, in Latin, anima. So the psychologists must study colonization clearly, the death and the exploitation and the colonization, the psychology of colonization of people like Rhodes. That you can't really own the land. But capitalism has done this. Colonization of the land and capitalism have done this, that we start to believe that I own the land. It's incredible.
Colonialism, apartheid, the migration system that was enforced on our people. That one is one of the greatest factors that causes father absence. So, and we have all that results through research, even statistics, prove that now. For example, the father is no more in Potchefstroom, he's working now in Johannesburg. Now, when it comes to the social component I mentioned, he met some other people, he settled there, and somehow it happened that the family is left behind.
Is there some sort of genetic memory of the pain that still haunts us today? And does this genetic memory cause all the present psychosis, the rage that is swelling within our exploding chests?
Can we give psychological empowerment, therapeutic tools, healing tools? Let's call them healing tools. When I say psychotherapeutic, people think I'm talking about psychotherapy, but healing in a broader sense that helps the mind to deal with adversity, to get strong. And so when somebody's angering you, when somebody's bringing their own trauma, and over time you start to realize, right? You start to realize somebody is doing something that this is not about you. It's not about you. This is not about me. And especially if we have tried to bomb them with kindness. If you don't have these resources to deal with the feelings of being hurt, aggression, that's the rage. You end up killing the very people who are supposed to support you. And this would be your family. These are your children. These are people in the neighborhood. So you're taking out the hurt that you feel out on them.